This is the ultimate guide for buying a new affordable home in a good school district.
That's right. In this video, we're going to be talking about not only the great school districts, because we have other videos on that, but we're going to be talking more specifically about new construction neighborhoods you may want to consider in phenomenal school districts. So if you have kids or if that's important to you, this video is for you.
So you're looking to buy a new home. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, the number one mistake that new homeowners make is not considering what school district their home is going to be in.
Yeah, not only that, but we've gotten calls to sell homes that they've only been in there for a short period of time because, number one, they didn't work with us, but they didn't really understand everything about the area, right? And so, listen, if you're worried about picking the right location or that kind of thing, that's what we're here for. So, as I always say, a 2-minute phone call could save you $2,000 to $10,000.
Yeah, somewhere in that range.
It's gonna be a fun video. Here we go. So, anyways, this is actually going to be part of a series because there are so many good locations around the Metroplex. But we're starting here in Fort Worth, and we're going to take you around the south side of Fort Worth to start with in this particular video. So, kicking things off, a very popular area is going to be Aledo ISD, which a lot of these neighborhoods are in Aledo, but some of them are technically in Fort Worth. But the Aledo ISD, as we've got up here, is this the ISD or
yeah?
Aledo
So this
itself?
is the ISD boundary maps right here. So
nice.
It's actually pretty broad. It covers not just Aledo, but you see Aneta South, part of like the Walsh and Willow Park areas. So it's actually really big.
Yeah, and this is on the west side of Fort Worth, and it's probably 20 minutes to get to downtown.
Oh, if that, yeah.
Yeah, unless it's rush hour.
Yeah.
And then it's definitely a growing area, but it's a pretty tight-knit community. The schools are A-rated. They are known for their football program as well, which we just had a couple that, found us here on YouTube. We helped them out. They ended up buying a Bloomfield home there in Parks Aledo, right?
Yeah, the football program was really important to them. Their son's he's going to all these camps. He's kicking butt in his old school district. I'm just hoping he's ready for Texas football because that's a completely different monster. But they're setting him up for success.
Yeah. So speaking of Parks Aledo, we're going to be talking about that here in a minute, and we'll talk about why they picked this one. But we have Walsh up on the list first. So this is something that we've covered extensively. This is a master plan community, and it's got
Well, before we get too deep into Walsh itself, let's actually take a look at some of the stats here. So, Aledo ISD.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, I know.
You can't be prepped for this, okay?
So, Aledo ISD, all of the school districts, just a heads up, that we have in this video are at least A-rated on niche.com, and that's where we get all of our school data from. It's pretty broad, but it gives us a good benchmark to go off of. So, what does the rating actually entail? So, as you see here, they have, a myriad of different categories, and this is what the general rating is based off of. Some of these weigh a little more heavily, like academia or the teachers are going to be a little bit more influential than say food, but obviously those are still important, so we've got all of that up here for you to take a look at. And Walsh is in Aledo ISD, so I'm sorry to interrupt, but please continue.
No, off topic. So you mentioned food, in almost every school district, food is
it's
a C rated. Yeah,
thing.
And I'm starting to learn why. It's the nutrition pyramid that we learned as a kid.
Oh my god, that crock.
Literally, I was looking at it last night. I was like, this is upside down.
It's
knowing
horrible.
what I know now,
Yeah.
I was like, this is completely backwards. It's ridiculous. Anyways.
Thank you, Kellogg.
Yeah, so that's probably, I feel like schools may be behind the curve as far as nutrition goes. I don't know.
Yeah, probably
They need
to
a
some degree.
makeover. But yeah, okay, so Walsh. So you can see here, they've got a pool. They've got multiple pools.
Yeah, they have a couple pools. They got a little lagoon, I think.
Yeah, they've got all kinds of amenities. They got makerspace with 3D printing, CNC wood making machines, that kind of thing. Garden area. They have a zip line that we finally found.
We did find it
without the line.
in part.
Yeah. So, and actually, we just came out with a video on basically all the new models. So here, summer of 2024, they basically put up a ton of new models. Freshening all of their looks up. So there's a video on that if you are interested in Walsh. We'll link to that video in the description. And then a couple of things to note here. So if you're looking to get into this community under 500, most of your normal size family homes in this community are going to be in the $600,000 range if you're looking for something new. But you could get into Walsh under 500. More than likely, it's going to be in a townhome. a cottage series. This is only done by David Weekley, so these are a little bit more narrow homes. And then their garden homes, which is what it sounds like. It's tiny. It's not tiny. The house itself is,
yeah, like it's a decent size. It's just narrower.
Yeah, they're all like 2 stories, and they're like 2,400 square feet or so. Most of the, so basically, if you're looking to get into Walsh under 500,000, you're going to be looking at something probably around 2,000 square feet. And I know people are always curious. They ask us, property taxes are a big deal here in Texas. And so the property taxes out here are 2.36, but they do have a public improvement district, which is like an additional tax for a certain period of time, probably the whole time that you live there. So really the tax rate here is about 2.54%. So, but anyways, great option if you love amenities and want to have things to do. Next up on the list is Morningstar. You want to talk about Morningstar?
Yeah. So I like to call Morningstar like Diet Walsh. So it's very Walsh-esque, but you're forgoing a couple of the little amenities and things like that you would normally get in Walsh. By the way, like Morningstar is like almost literally right next door to Walsh. So as far as location goes, it's all very relevant. But you're not gonna have, like, you still have a pool. There's like there's some sports courts. They have a clubhouse. They've got like this really cool water feature out front, just beyond that sign actually.
Yeah.
So it's still a really nice neighborhood.
Dog park, community garden.
So you're not really missing out on much, but it is a lot more residential and less like, amenity focused. So that on, for your wallet is really good because it knocks a $20,000 off of your home price for the same house that you would get just a few minutes east of there.
Yeah, and so I was looking on average. So if you're looking at Morningstar, you could buy a actual house instead of a townhome or a garden home, and they're going to be between like 2,000 and 3,000 square feet. So one of the things that, I don't know, just in my opinion, I feel like a lot of the stuff built in Walsh is there's a little bit more bells and whistles than like the inventory homes that you find in Morningstar. But obviously you can bell and whistle those up yourself. Taxes are going to be pretty much the same in Morningstar. Now, Parks of Aledo. Is interesting. And you want to talk about why Christina and Hugo decided to buy out there?
Yeah, so these guys, they were the ones that were moving to Texas, and they were moving from California, military couple. They had the son that was really into football, and they were set on 2 school districts and leaned closer to Aledo. So whenever I was showing these guys around, I thought it was really interesting. We see this a lot sometimes with couples where like one of them is very vocal, the other one's just not. And the husband, Hugo, he really liked the houses we were showing him. Like we showed him Walsh, we showed him Morningstar.
He's the guy. He's like, looks nice.
It's like, looks good. I
got
can deal with
everything
this.
we need.
Like, yeah, he's fine with whatever. And Christina's just like, yeah, whatever. Okay, cool. And then we make it to Parks of Aledo, and I think honestly it was the builder ultimately that won them over. They ended up going with Bloomfield. They walked into the model home, and this is the first time I think I'd seen Christina like actually react, and she's like, oh my god, I love this home. And I was like, okay, I guess we're buying here.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that's kind of interesting, so buying in Parks of Aledo, if you're trying to stay under 500, there's not as many options, and they're going to be right around 2,000 square feet. However, you don't have a PID tax. The taxes are actually a little bit lower at 2.17%. So you could actually buy a little bit more. You could go up in price for the same payment, right?
Yeah.
And get something that's a little bit bigger if you wanted to just barely go over that 500 mark, right? So Parks of Aledo doesn't have as many amenities, but they have different ones, right? So they have hiking and biking trails.
That's a really big thing. They also have, and this isn't really an amenity, but they got a big field of bluebonnets off it by the entrance, which I thought was kind of cool.
Great for those pictures.
Yeah,
in the
great
springtime.
photo op.
Yeah. And then they're actually like right next to the high school too. So that could be a plus if you don't want to drive your kids to school, you can get them a scooter or a bicycle. I don't know. But so anyways, those are going to be your main 3 options as far as buying something new in the Aledo School District. Now, if you're not set on buying something new, there are going to be a lot of other options. You can actually buy homes on an acre in Aledo for under 500. There's not a ton of them, but they do exist.
Right.
So, so yeah, if you're considering that, that's also an option. Anything else to add about Aledo?
No, it's just really nice. Probably one of the last places within half an hour of downtown Fort Worth where you can still buy a good chunk of land for a reasonable price.
Yeah.
Relatively reasonable. It's still pricey, don't get me wrong. Aledo's nice.
Yeah. Next up on our list, we've got Burleson and Joshua. We kind of grouped these together. Burleson, the Burleson ISD map you can see here. So this is going to be like directly south of downtown Fort Worth. If you take 35W, going south, you're going to run into Burleson. And Joshua is just...
Oh, sorry, I've got the ratings here first, and then the map.
We'll go to the ratings first.
Yeah, take a look. Looks good.
Yeah. A- rating overall, so not too bad. This is my hometown, the Burleson Elk. That's what's up. And then this is Joshua, just south of Burleson. So Burleson, like, if you drive through Burleson, there is a ton of shopping. There's a ton of restaurants. There's been so much growth there over the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. And Joshua, A-rated, A-minus, same thing.
Seafood suffers. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's the worst. But yeah, and then Joshua's going to be a little bit more rural. There's just not as much in Joshua. You're a little bit further out. So those are, I guess, the two things to keep in consideration. But just talking about a couple of the neighborhoods. So Burleson, High Country Homes, or High Country is the neighborhood. First Texas Homes is building out there. Kindred Homes. We've got a video on this. I think this is the one.
Yeah, it was part of one of our neighborhood videos that we did down there. So it's part of a larger video, actually.
It was for the relocation to. There's an industrial park on the south side of Fort Worth that is a big employer for folks. And so, anyways, we'll link to that if you're interested in seeing more of High Country. And the tax rate out here in Burleson is 2.275. Now, there are some places in Burleson that are outside of city limits. So if you do make your way outside of city limits, it is possible to get a lower tax rate, but still 2.275 is not
that's
bad.
better than Fort Worth.
Yeah. And then another one I was just going to mention, there are like these smaller communities that pop up. I just have Hunter Place on here. This is the D.R. Horton neighborhood. High Country Homes. These are going to be 2,000 to 2,800 square feet, and these are going to be in the $400,000 price range, right? So these are some big homes out here, or bigger homes. Hunter Place, the D.R. Horton, these are going to be in the 300s. This is right off of Renfro next to Centennial High School. So Burleson has two high schools. They have Burleson High School, which is the original, and then they have Centennial. So yeah, those are going to be two new home communities there. Honorable mention, I don't have a lot of detail on this, but Mountain Valley is the only place where you can find a new home on a third of an acre. So if you're looking for something with a little bit more space, Mountain Valley might be something for you to look at. You want to talk a little bit about Mockingbird Hills? Yeah,
so if I could pull up my thing here real quick. So Mockingbird Hills, this one... So this one's down in actually Joshua. Let's see, do we have a photo for that one? If I don't drop
No, we've been to it. We have a couple of videos on new home communities in Joshua.
There it is.
And this is one that Antares was at, who's now
Lancy Homes. So Lancy bought up Antares, which, I mean, good for them, but now they're just everywhere down here. But Mockingbird Hills, if I remember correctly, this one, they've got homes in like the 400s. These are pretty decent sized homes, like 2,400 up to like 3,200 square feet. I honestly don't remember too much about the neighborhood itself.
No, there's not much to it. And that's the thing. It's like a lot of these communities don't have a ton of amenities. Like they'll probably have a playground. You've got sidewalks everywhere. This one has Bloomfield as well. I believe Hawkins bought some lots in there, so they're probably building by now. But there's a couple different builders in there for you to choose from. And again, we'll link to the other communities in Joshua. Property tax rate 2.23%, so pretty similar to Burleson. And if you are, again, looking at something pre-existing, again, in both Joshua and Burleson, you can find homes on acre plus lots under 500,000. They still exist. So next up, we got Mansfield.
Yeah, Mansfield. We've been doing a lot of driving down in that corner of the, of Fort Worth area. But Mansfield's a really nice school district. Like here, we got the ratings and everything. It's also a really big school district.
And this is like due south of the middle of the Metroplex. So one of the draws here is sometimes you'll have a spouse that works in Fort Worth and one that works in Dallas. And this is kind of a good middle ground, very family-oriented community.
Yeah, it's not a long drive to the airport either, so it's good for like traveling individuals who kind of want to get away from all that. But like you can see here, it's like A's across the board except for, food, like normal. Resources and facilities just barely missed the mark. Come on, guys.
Bummer.
But yeah, no, so actually our first neighborhood down here is going to be Somerset, and I love this neighborhood. It's got tons of amenities, reasonable prices. It's got a very wide price range, I will say, so you can get stuff under $500,000. I've seen some up to like the nines. If you get like something really big, but they've got a stock pond, playgrounds, a clubhouse with like, it's got an outdoor eating area with a fireplace, covered patios. It's got this huge water feature at the beginning. Just really beautiful neighborhood. But this one's actually built up of Chesmar, Bloomfield, I want to say, and John Houston, which is actually a custom home builder that's been dabbling in like the semi-custom home building field. So they've got some really interesting layouts and stuff like that.
And if you don't know what all that meant that Jack just said,
oh, sorry, yeah,
we've got a video on new construction that just came out, right? No, will be out by the time this video is out. So we'll link to that as well, because there's so many differences in builders and construction and everything else. I know it can be confusing. So
this is actually one of the first neighborhoods that you see coming out of downtown Mansfield. If you keep following the 287, I think it is, the highway there, you make a right off of it at like one of the first intersections outside of downtown Mansfield, and you're like right there. But that doesn't mean you hear all the road noise because of that giant water feature blocks it all out, but gives you good convenient access. That being said, it also has a really low tax rate. So these guys dodged a bullet, and I'm talking like a hair's width, because on the other side of that highway it bumps up quite a bit because that's part of Tarrant County, believe it or not.
Okay.
So these guys actually have a 2.193 tax rate. So
very good.
Pretty decent.
Then you have Mitchell Farms. This is Brightland Homes, and you got the Reserve with Tri-Point.
Yeah, so I don't know if you've been to this one. I'd been to it.
These are
really small pocket communities. They're actually part of, they're together. So Mitchell Farms and the Reserve are like side to side. They basically share a through road in the middle. One side is one builder and one side is the other. I forget which one's which. So Mitchell Farms is Brightland and the Reserve is Tri-Point. These are very much like production homes. There's no bells, there's no whistles. You get like a little playground in the center of the neighborhood. But if you just need something cheap that gets you into a good school district, this is the way to go. But like I said, these guys kind of got screwed because of the Tarrant County taxes. They got hit with Tarrant County, the hospital, and the college district, which bumped that 2.1 up to a 2.309.
Still not horrible.
Not bad. Still better than Fort Worth. Another really cool neighborhood. I haven't actually been to this one. I've discovered it while we were doing research for this video, and I wouldn't mind checking it out. But it's a really small niche community inside of downtown Mansfield called...
I may have driven by this when it was getting developed.
Main Street Village. So it's only like a few streets, and it's all townhomes. This is by Inspiration Homes, but they're in like the 400,000s. They have the same tax rate, so that 2.309 as Mitchell Farms and all that. But these are decent sized homes. These are like over 2,000 square feet townhomes. They get, like you see here, 2-car garages and everything. Nice. They're brick siding, so they're really high quality, and it saves you some money if you want to get a place that you don't need a huge yard for, or you want to just be close to the city.
I like it. And then as far as like downtown Mansfield goes, it's something that the city is really focused on. It's pretty cool. I mean, there's like restaurants down there now, there's shops, all that kind of stuff. People get out and hang out for a little bit. And then there's a ton of growth that's happening as well. So that's something, it's a good area, moving forward as well. I think there's going to be a lot more business coming into that area, which is going to be great. Moving south. So south from Mansfield is going to be Midlothian. And this is another option for people, both Fort Worth and Dallas. You're going to be a little bit further out. You're probably going to be, instead of being 30 minutes away from both, you're probably 40 minutes depending on where your home is. But once again, A- rated. Not bad. Food's still lacking. Still in the B range. B's pretty good.
B's better than...
I don't know that we've seen an A on the food category.
I don't think I've ever seen an A.
Yeah. So What are we kicking off? Dove Creek.
Yeah, so Dove Creek, this one's a
That
little...
sounds familiar. Have I been there?
It's a smaller production home neighborhood. It's by D.R. Horton. They've got some John Huston homes in there. First of all, John Huston is everywhere around Mansfield, Midlothian. You're going to hear their name a lot with these next few communities. But as you can see here, they're just like little low-rise production homes. They are in like the high 3s to low 4s for most of them. They do have some larger ones that get into the mid-upper 4s, but the vast majority of them are going to be around like the 1,800 to 2,000, 2,300 square feet range. Not a lot to say about this one. This one's just one of those neighborhoods that's, going to be a part of like a larger growth development. I'm sure I don't even think it had a playground or anything. But the tax rate out here is low, 20317, so almost 2% flat.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad at all.
And the next one is kind of like our Mitchell Farms one in that it's built of two different areas. It's Redden Farms on the north side, which that's a really cool little setup that they got there at the entryway. And then we've got the Grove on the south side. So Redden Farms was actually a group effort by Lancey, which was Antares at the time, and John Huston. And then the Grove was Antares, now Lancey, Bloomfield, and Sandlin, oddly enough. This is the only neighborhood that I saw Sandlin in for all these, because, such a high price point builder, I wasn't expecting to see him.
It's interesting how they build like a little hut there at the front. Like, it's never going to be used for anything.
No.
It's just like purely for aesthetics. It's like a little barn and a
I think it's
silo.
I'm pretty sure it's like a walkthrough. It's part of like the sidewalk there.
Okay.
So you can walk through it on your daily jog or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, the silo is just a waste of tin, really. And then the Grove, way less cool entryway. But again, these guys, they're building like mid $400,000 homes. They're in like the 2,000 to 2,500 square foot range, and this one has that really low percentage of 2.0317. So great tax rates all around. This next one is huge. You want to talk about Bridgewater?
Bridgewater, I have been there.
Yeah,
this one,
it's a nice community.
Yeah, and it's pretty early on, because this is the one they're building. They haven't built the main rec center yet, right?
Yeah, they were working on it whenever we went and shot.
So this has a ton of different builders: Tri-Point, Highland, John Huston, American Legend, a ton of walking trails, playground. They've got like this theater area as well, close to a airport, a little regional airport. So if you got a plane to fly, you can be pretty close to that. But they do have so their tax rate's around 2%. They have a PID that's it's like 0.66%, right? So this is like one of the highest taxed areas, unfortunately. So that comes out to like 2.6 or almost 2.7 percent.
It's a pretty big development though.
Yeah.
So they're just pouring money into it, and they say that it's going to come down, but we don't know how long that's going to take.
Yeah, and Midlothian has more of like a small town feel, I would say. They have there's a big concrete factory there, and there's like a couple big industrial things there, and then there's just a lot of wide open spaces. So, but yeah, those are I guess the top ones if you're looking on the south side of Fort Worth. Did I miss one?
No,
okay.
That was it.
Right. Okay, yeah, that's us. So our next series is going to be basically on the north side of Fort Worth, mid-cities, all that kind of stuff. So if you are interested in that, make sure you subscribe so you get notified the next time we drop a video. But other than that, anything else you want to add?
Nothing.
All right. If you're looking to buy or sell, remember to keep calm. Call Tom.